Hello, friends. Today is January 22nd, 2 days after the snowpocalypse here in Kentucky.
It was maybe not quite a snowpocalypse.
It was more of an ice apocalypse because I fell and busted my butt this morning.
I had some chocolate, so I'm wired.
There's still some residual chocolate on the side of the desk you guys can't see.
Oh, you can have that if you want.
I might have a piece later.
Ryan did not want it.
Yeah, there was a little bit of snow.
It wasn't a lot of snow.
Not today. I actually don't know what the weather was like today because I did the Bird Box Challenge on the way to work. So
it's a long drive.
I don't have any clue.
Yeah.
It's a lot like driving on the snow.
I also don't have GPS in the truck, so it was wild. But I made it. And you know what?
You know what else is wild?
I've just realized the number pad is not on the desk.
Oh. You've made a huge mistake, and now you won't be able to switch stories. Oh, I think I know where it is. It's up on the sound.
Where?
I think it was up there, I think.
We just stop and we'll just start from the beginning.
No, it's fine. I'll get it. I think I remember moving it.
We'll do it live.
It's up here.
So, yeah, what else is going on? Oh, here we are. I'm empowered.
The government's secret UFO program funded research on wormholes and extra dimensions. This is Harry Reid nonsense.
It sounds more exciting than it really is, because you found out it was one senator who pushed for it, and he was like, actually, it's my friend running the program.
Yes.
And it's like, oh.
Aww.
That's just, I mean,
But-
of all the things to be corrupted about, though, I mean, that's not
They
the
did have
worst.
some cool things. They listed, they're doing like some warp drive technology, I think shielding, cloaking, invisibility cloaking, wormholes.
Negative energy.
Sounds fantastic, right? But here's what I always say about government programs. And yes, I'm repeating myself, but it bears repeating. Think about how cool it would be to do warp drive research, right? That's amazing. And it might even, what if it leads to something? That would be incredible. But here's the thing about it. You use extra money that you have to do warp drive technology in your extra time. What we're doing here, see, we operate at a deficit. We're borrowing money to do warp drive technology. No, that's a bad idea.
And we're letting Harry Reid's friend do it, and it's probably not peer reviewed, so that seems like it's a problem.
Or it's not even the top person in that field, like,
Yeah.
The warp drive field.
well, or just someone, or a decent physicist. Maybe the guy's not even good at physics. We
He
don't
wrote
know.
a book. I think that was his only qualification.
Yeah.
Although one thing that was declassified, not by Harry Reid, by some guy that retired, there have been unexplained encounters with flying objects and the Air Force. So like the cockpit computers, and there are good recordings of that. Some of that's been declassified, but a lot of it remains unexplained, which is what has
It's gremlins.
perhaps fueled the paranoia here.
If it were explained, it wouldn't be the UFO, right?
Yeah.
And a little bit of good news, actually maybe a lot of good news. I don't know. We still get some comments that side with the you should have nothing to hide people. But I think this is great news.
The feds cannot force you to unlock your iPhone with your finger or your face, the judge rules. Now, it's always been the case that they can't force you to unlock your phone if it has a pin, because that has to get something from inside your brain. But the feds, the judge here has ruled that they can't force you to use your face or your finger to unlock it either, which is actually contrary to all the case law that's happened so far.
She said basically that those things are the same thing, which makes sense. Right? I
Yeah.
mean,
They are. But, up till this point, it hasn't been ruled that way. There's that guy that's in Florida that's in jail because he won't unlock his phone. Still. It's like a year and a half, 2 years
and
later.
all those cases are almost always child pornography, and I think they do that on purpose because you cannot defend it, and they get away with some stuff. I don't know what this case was.
It leads to scope creep. It's like, first they came for the child porn people,
And then, it was, someone selling weed recreationally on the side. Like,
Recreationally, it's like
for fun, just a little bit of extra money. It's like selling essential
But
oils.
no, if you're doing it recreationally, it's not even for that. It's like I don't even keep the money. I donate it. I just love selling weed.
Just something to keep me busy in my retirement.
Well, the FBI might not be able to search your phone, but they probably can search your social media. But are they?
The ACLU has to sue the FBI to find this out. The FBI can neither confirm nor deny that it monitors your social media posts, which absolutely means they are hoovering all this stuff up.
Has anyone ever thought that doesn't mean the worst possible scenario?
This is almost, I'd like to write to the ACLU and be like, guys, I appreciate what you're doing, but do we really need this? This is like the
Save your
UFO
money.
program. Do something more productive. We know they are. Of course they are. Yeah.
I was, I was like, in terms of like surprised by the actions of the FBI, hoovering up all of everybody's social media posts directly, not surprising. The stuff that they did to Martin Luther King, mildly surprising.
Maybe the first. If that was the first thing you ever read that the FBI did that was crazy. But the other thing about this is like schools are doing this.
Yeah.
So if private institutions are doing it, of course the government is doing it. And they're probably doing it better. What they're not doing is securing their databases.
Hackers broke into the SEC database and made millions from inside information, says the DOJ. They got caught, but it was a good run.
It was a good plan, too,
This
because
is really smart.
often companies will do kind of like a dry run and submit documents and, do like the electronic infrastructure for an IPO or something like that, or a merger. And these guys got in there and got that information. And they're like, oh, I'll buy some of that stock, right before it splits or something like that happens. And they made a ton.
This thing is, I don't really think these people should be punished that harsh because there was the thing that happened between, the agriculture report came out, and without accounting for speed of light delay, trading was happening at the Chicago Board of Trade based on the output of that report, which means that somebody had that report before it was supposed to, before you were supposed to do trades or whatever, and they'd lined up the
But we
computers.
shouldn't encourage that kind of behavior.
Yeah, well,
though.
how are you defending it?
I'm
Yeah.
not really defending it. I'm just saying that it is an open secret that literally everybody on the inside is doing that. And
Well, your argument's like, hey, people get shot every day. We should just accept it.
Yeah. We should be better. is
we
what
should do something to fix the whole platform rather than
Is this cynical, Wendell?
yes.
Well, but
That's,
this, I don't think the platform
weird.
in the case that you're talking about, like the high speed algorithms and trading.
Yes.
That's a problem, but that wasn't a factor here.
No, that's true. But it was inside information, which is some of the stuff that's meant to the high speed trading is meant to look like is based on high speed or is based on inside information. There's a lot of subterfuge that's created because everybody has inside information, but they go to a lot of work to make it seem like they don't have inside information by doing a whole bunch of obfuscating things.
That's going to be a topic in the business section about the hot new Intel CPU foreshadowing. Well, the FCC, you hear a lot about the FCC, and their big excuse du jour is government shutdown. But I can't do anything, government shutdown.
Our hands are tied. I got to go play golf.
And even if the government wasn't shut down, it's the FTC. It's not us. So the court has rejected the FCC request to delay the net neutrality case. So there's a case where the FCC is going to have to explain itself. It's like, why did you rescind net neutrality? What case law do you have to do that?
And the whole fake submissions
Yes.
and basically the fraud and the whole thing.
All the
Identity theft.
lying
It's gonna
and
be a lot of-
underhanded sneakiness.
Yeah, a lot of uncomfortable questions at that hearing.
And
they
Ajit Pai would rather be at lunch with a friend.
Yeah, he'd rather not do that. But I think it's early February, right?
Yeah.
That's going to happen. So,
The court
gonna
case
happen.
is coming. Shut down or no shutdown?
and we've
Maybe
been.
we'll get a Valentine's Day present.
Do you think he will?
Maybe.
A Valentine's Day present, as in like the government is not shut down anymore.
Are you saying that'll be like a heart-shaped suitcase stuffed with cash from Verizon?
Thank you for all you've done for us.
Thinking of you. Well, the another thing that the shutdown is affecting is it's giving him another convenient excuse when he does nothing.
Ajit Pai gives carriers a free pass on privacy violations during FCC shutdown. Pai, staff to Congress, is like, carriers selling customer location data, that's something for after. That's not like super critical. We'll deal with that after the shutdown's over. But the fascinating thing about this is that this whole selling your location data, that actually came up in like summer of 2018. And carriers said, we're going to stop that. So this is not a recent problem. This is actually carriers not doing a damn thing.
What is his office doing right now? Are they officially shut down?
Most, like 90% of them are.
Yeah.
You can still file a complaint, and there can be like emergency rules, which is what they wanted that to be, because they were like, hey, everybody has access to location data for $300. That's a bit of an emergency, right? And he was like,
No, yeah.
Those companies are monetizing any way they can because that's the American dream. This is okay.
He's like, I'm having to get out of my seat and fill my giant cup of coffee myself.
His Reese cup mug.
I can't be expected to do anything else with my day. I'm so distressed. You know who else cannot be expected to do anything like securing their database during the government shutdown? Oklahoma.
Oklahoma government data leak exposes FBI investigation records and millions of department files. So if you're in witness protection in Oklahoma, bad news.
Well, I don't know if that was... It was stuff to do with cases that were financial related because this was the Securities Commission.
Yeah.
So if you had like insider trading, for example, and the FBI was coming after you, that's all out in the public.
Uh-oh.
Even if they haven't arrested you yet. So there might be a lot of planes going to non-extradition countries.
A lot of shredding going on right now.
Where your records go sweeping down the plane, like the popular musical Oklahoma.
I thought about trying to make that joke, but I'm not familiar enough with
the musical.
the lyrics.
Yeah.
Oh, we had to watch that in music class in school. That was a horrific day.
That was one of my least favorite musicals we had to
hate
watch.
musicals. Yeah. Oh.
I don't mind musicals, but I didn't like that one.
Well, we can't go a week without talking about Huawei, right? And it's more of the same.
Federal prosecutors are investigating Huawei for allegedly stealing trade secrets report. Now, I thought this was more fluff because this is from The Hill. But according to The Hill, they are very close to filing charges. This investigation has been going on for a long time because sometimes it's circular. Like sometimes somebody is like, this company is doing something against American interests, and then it sort of becomes like the circular thing. But more and more, it's looking like there is something shady going on with Huawei, which is interesting.
We had the senator last week that cryptically talking about them stealing from Apple.
Yeah.
So I guess he was alluding to this.
Although, looking at the Apple, I keep waiting for there to be good developments on it so we can cover it, but there's the whole Apple Qualcomm thing that's going on right now, and there's a lot of really amazing, juicy stuff coming out with that, but Apple is squealing like a stuck pig. And it's not looking like they're acting with clean hands in all scenarios. So it'll be interesting to see how this shapes out.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that Apple is not a paragon of virtue?
They don't seem to be. I don't know. We'll see how this plays out. I'm not going to call it yet. We're not covering that yet, but we will.
Well, Trump loves his executive orders. To be fair, all the recent presidents have. And he's getting ready for another one.
He's preparing an order to restrict Chinese telecoms, sources say. Not just Huawei, but anything out of China. It's like, ooh, we can't trust them not to bug their hardware. This is pay attention, folks, because it doesn't matter if you're not in the U.S. This is a global thing, and everybody is going to be playing this game with technology. And it's really bad and sad because open source can solve a lot of these problems.
Well, it would also destroy these major corporations. Mm. So this rule is not actually banning it outright. You can still buy it, but what's going to happen is if you have a major corporation that's considered, mission critical for the country,
Boeing,
the Commerce Department can step in and be like, no, you're not buying Huawei.
So people in suits show up and show you something really horrifying, and then it's like you get the corporate memo that's like, we're not buying that for undisclosed reasons.
Crack a few knuckles.
Well, Krista, your gambling addiction is it's in jeopardy. I know
it's out of control.
I know you like to play the online Baccarat hours into the night.
That game.
What was that?
I don't know. There's a sound of
the boiler snake has died.
Yeah. U.S. online gambling reversal puts chill on industry. They're banning all online gambling.
See, the Department of Justice said that sports betting was the only thing that was banned, and now they're reinterpreting the law to say that everything. This is scary times.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I had a friend in college who, I think he paid for most of his education by playing online poker. I don't know how he did that, but he did. And now what?
Go ahead.
You know who this is super, super good news for? Organized crime. Because that's how prohibition works, and somehow we still haven't learned that lesson.
My favorite thing about this is that the Department of Justice, which is ostensibly the one branch of government that's charged with understanding our laws and how they apply. So it's like, how can a citizen or an entrepreneur be expected to understand all of the laws when the Department of Justice apparently can't get it right?
I feel like that's gonna change things a lot. Online, I see banner ads for online gambling all the time.
Well, it used to be that you could get away with it by basing it in, Jamaica or something.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can do that anymore.
How do we not have no backsies in law? It's like, this clause means this. You're retroactively violating the law. It's like, what?
I remember couple years ago, it became hugely popular to play poker on Twitch and lose huge sums of money.
Yeah.
I will make a level 1 prediction. This change in interpretation is going to precede them filing charges against something somewhere in the U.S. Like they're going to shut down something in a week or two and be like, law. That's usually what happens.
Well, I think they get a grace period. Maybe not. I don't know.
I've never online gambled, but like, I feel like we're losing a small piece of internet history.
I've seen them do this with like interstate tobacco, being a tobacco state. It's like, we're going to change the rules with how interstate tobacco works. Oh, surprise, you're in violation. And it's like, whoa, that's surprising.
Came out of nowhere, but...
Yeah.
I bet on a UFC fight one time, and I lost.
Oh.
You should have gotten good.
I thought Liddell was going to beat Couture. No.
Wrong. Those people.
Chuck let me down.
People.
Boy, Snake had a lot of money on that fight. Too.
Yeah, he's starting to... Oh, there he goes.
He was a big Liddell fan.
He had forgotten all about that until you brought it up. And now he's going to be inconsolable the rest of the day.
I kind of talked him into it. That. For a long time, we didn't talk after that, but we patched it up.
It's a wonder he hasn't spit steam in your face.
Who said he didn't?
And it's 20 degrees out today, too, so, he's having to work overtime, and now you've just brought up this pain.
Speaking of venomous enemies and spitting steam, let's talk about Marco Rubio.
Yeah, most people not fans of him, and it seems like he's an odd choice to come to the rescue in this situation.
He's introducing a bill to create federal regulations on data collection. That might be worse than Ajit Pai making rules on, net neutrality.
And that is the big concern here that the other side of the aisle is coming forth with is, bro, we don't trust you to do this. You seem like you might be in their pocket. So they also point out that a lot of states are doing their own version, and Rubio should be a states' rights kind of guy,
One would think. Not so much. Not in this case.
Maybe not.
The U.S. has proposed new rules to allow drone operation at night over people. This is to do with delivery drones, because right now you can't operate delivery drones at night.
This points out one of my favorite new things that news sites do. So the headline, and I have a feeling they might have changed this headline, because I think the first time I read this, it wasn't this. But they always start out with the Trump administration. Like, yeah, of course it's the Trump administration. They're in power.
They didn't do that with the Obama, did they?
No. Fox News did. Yeah, it's whoever they don't like at the time. But yeah, so these rules are, of course, you can't fly a drone at night because that would be terribly dangerous, right? And you can't fly it over people. Remember the New Year's Eve celebration? They actually had to tether them because you're not allowed. Well, that's going to change. It's was it 0.55?
0.55 pounds, yeah.
I think pounds was the measurement there.
Yep, and anything heavier than that, you've got to be able to show that if it crashed into a person, it wouldn't cause injury above a certain threshold.
But what is the threshold?
They don't,
is the question.
They have not defined the threshold as far as I know.
Like, is it a certain amount of blood loss? Is it a concussion? Like,
I gotta think it'd be like break the skin, right?
0.55 pounds is not going to be super useful for Amazon Prime. I mean, when I order a case of video cards, that's going to be like 30 pounds.
Now, is that, but...
are you expecting a drone delivery for that?
A 0.55 pound drone isn't going to lift anything.
Yeah.
That'd be like a pack of gum.
One order of styrofoam?
Yeah, one order of styrofoam.
Like, can you imagine a strong wind catching that styrofoam? A 0.55 pound drone could not keep that under control. So I imagine it's going to be for surveillance.
What about like a helium blimp kind of thing? Because they have those. Like the Project Loon balloons, those technically don't weigh 0.55 pounds. Yeah, but it's hard to use those. Well, I guess you could use them for surveillance. If you're talking about like, what is the chance of a loon balloon, like, Project Phi or whatever, crashing into a person and causing injury, the inertia of the thing could cause injury because of the mass, but it's not going to weigh that much.
But they don't fly them over the U.S.
Well, not now, but Amazon might have a delivery blimp.
Also, I don't think that would count as drone.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Because the control delay is probably pretty massive in those things. It's sort of like hey, go here and then wait a couple hours at least.
I wonder if you could get an exemption for a drone that when it is in like free fall mode or it's damaged, it can use a vision system to find people and avoid people on its way down.
That could also be reversed. Land soft, little drone. Land soft. Well, we talked about the California license plates, the digital license plates. I think we predicted those wouldn't catch on. I don't know if they have or not.
I don't think they have.
They must have been somewhat successful because now they're bringing them to Michigan.
In Michigan, what?
What parts of Michigan?
What now?
Never mind.
No, you got what are you doing?
You've never seen that? Like what part of Michigan? It's Michigan.
No.
Explain it.
That's the shape of Michigan. And you say like, what part of Michigan are you from? And it's like everyone has. Never mind.
We don't. The little part of Michigan that's at the top, that's Canada.
No, it's fine. Never mind. I don't know why I thought that was relevant. Never mind.
Well, digital license plates are now allowed in Michigan, and it requires a monthly subscription of $7, and they cost $500 to $700. Who in their right mind would?
Someone who owns a Tesla.
No, I don't think. I think somebody that like owns a muscle car and is driving around Detroit, and it's like, my car has been stolen again. Let me see where it is.
That's also probably.
Now it does do. I don't know if this is for your car, so it does stolen vehicle alerts, but I don't know if that's to alert people. That's like, hey, this vehicle is stolen, or to flash up warnings that other people can see on your, because it also does Amber alerts.
What might help these things sell is like if you're in traffic, you can hit a button to say nasty things to the other drivers that are doing bad things.
I don't think that would.
Midwestern drivers are very aggressive.
They won't let you get nasty things on your license plate as it is. So. But also, Detroit is so snowy and salty and crusty.
The roads in Michigan are terrible.
How robust do you think these are against that kind of
not at all
corrosion and weather?
You have to get a new one every year. $700.
That's another $800 every year, plus the $7 a month. That's harsh. But sometimes you got to let people know.
That's the cost you pay for being, constantly followed around.
Maybe this will be the spinning rim of 2019. Well, the Army has a bit of a problem. I think this is more of a PR problem for them because, the whole suicide thing.
The way that we treat our veterans,
Can't get health care, mental problems when you get back from serving the corporations.
Yeah, and there's no help.
But they've got a strategy.
After falling short, the U.S. Army gets creative with a new recruiting strategy. They're going after esports. Now, we covered that they had the Street Fighter tournament. This is kind of the follow-up to that. It turns out that's for recruiting. They are literally recruiting with that.
I've seen the ads on Twitch.
Yeah, they mentioned Twitch. Basically, Generation Z will not respond to their usual recruiting methods, which is like sports and phone calls and, going after the sort of alpha male activities. So what are they doing? They're going to esports and Twitch and online.
Someone who thinks being in the military is going to be like playing Fortnite.
Well, I mean, Fortnite is kind of the new high school sport, is it not?
It's true.
They did mention Fortnite as well. So
I think when we played COD Blops, I think that I was looking up our Twitch chat, and I think we got an ad for the U.S. Army.
Neat.
So COD Blops probably also tagged as something to show on.
Interesting thing about, at the beginning of every NFL game, they bring out that big flag and the jets fly over and all that stuff. That's a commercial. They pay for that. That's not like the NFL being like, we're patriotic. No, that's a commercial for the Army.
There was a scathing congressional investigation into some of that spending on football games and stuff, and they were like, do you have any analytics whatsoever to show that this advertising led to any recruitment? And there were 4 people that they could show were recruited that way.
Yeah, that's why they're throwing all their money at this.
Yeah. How many people you get? They probably got 4 people from that one Street Fighter tournament.
Yeah. So it's like, this is 1,000,000% more effective.
Maybe they watched it with their mom, and the mom's like, "You should do that."
Son, do you want to fight M. Bison in Syria?
Just put on these augmented reality goggles, and here's your gun. Go.
Just sign this contract. Don't bother reading it.
Never read it.
Speaking of horrible contracts, Europe is still trying to push through Articles 11 and 13. Everybody knows they're bad. They got shot down once, but what do? They go right back to the table.
Now, The Verge reported that Europe's controversial link tax is, in doubt after member states rebel. This is because nobody can agree on what exactly it's supposed to be. But mark my words, they're going to come back suddenly and unexpectedly and probably be worse in some ways because that's how these things work. So you got to maintain vigilance on this.
So this was
a dumpster fire.
Last time it was, Estonia?
Yeah.
Brave little Estonia. I said they weren't in NATO. I didn't.
And everyone got very upset at you. Yeah,
the Estonians they are in NATO. I didn't know that. How am I supposed to know it? But anyway, I think they were the ones that shot it down last time. So they're like, or maybe it was Portugal.
You don't actually know, and everyone's going to tell you in the comments again.
But I'm sure it was Italy this time because Italy has a new Eurosceptic government. And they said exactly what they should have said. They were like, hey, this link tag thing, it's crazy, and the copyright thing, this is going to have unintended side effects. We're not signing this.
Yay. So the internet is saved for about 5 minutes. And then
good job, Italians.
They're going to try to sneak something through that's crazy. You watch. They will.
Yeah, well. I trust Mario and Luigi to guard against...
I was going to try and come up with an Italian stereotype, and I couldn't think of a good one.
Well, it's either that or the mafia, right?
I was going to say pizza, but that's still American.
They're going to have their... they're going to sharpen off a stick of spaghetti and jam it right in the eye of the EU. Well, if you love fitness and fitness apps...
and sharpening spaghetti and stabbing somebody with it.
As we know, our audience does.
And speaking of the mafia... Gangland murders. If those things are in your wheelhouse, you got to watch out.
Garmin data has been used to convict British runner for the murder of 2 gangsters. This guy was apparently a hitman, according to the article. But reading the article and looking at the evidence from his fitness tracker was circumstantial, but it was enough to convict him.
Well, I think they had some other evidence.
I was going to say
the article did not talk about the other evidence. I hope they had other evidence, but
the article title kind of makes you think that it's just some random guy, like a random British runner, and it's like, wait, no, this guy probably was paid by a rival
running
gang.
Was instrumental because he on his runs he was staking out their house and
pretending to stretch in front of their children's schools.
Yeah, they talk about his average miles per hour on his bike ride was 12, but as he was circling this house, it dropped to 3.
So, again, circumstantial. But
I watched a great YouTube video where they had a thief, just a burglar, and he was the same kind of guy. He was huge into fitness, and he said that's what he do. He would drive to a rich neighborhood and just jog through it and wave to everybody. And that, because neighborhood watch, he was always afraid of neighborhood watch. But by jogging through the neighborhood every day and waving, they were like, oh, there's that guy. He lives here.
Or he lives nearby.
And he would just rob them blind. So, be careful of those joggers.
What we're saying is don't exercise and don't trust people who exercise.
Absolutely. Well, China, we talk a lot about China, and they're crushing the people's spirit. They're keeping them held down. And what are the people doing? Are they fighting back? No, they're downloading apps.
App Annie? China drove 40% of mobile app spending and nearly half of all downloads in 2018. Well, no wonder Apple's freaking out about being locked out of China.
I was just thinking, no wonder Blizzard's trying to invest so hard in Diablo Mobile.
Yeah.
Even though China's been like, I don't know if we like Blizzard games.
In this context, a lot of our economic stories make a lot more sense from earlier in the year.
And 40% of spending. So think about all these, young kids spending like crazy on the dance moves from Fortnite go up to $8.
That seems crazy.
But the Chinese are spending more? Madness.
40%. 40%.
That's crazy. And the other thing that China has recently gotten into is Elon Musk.
Not in the literal sense.
Tesla boss Elon Musk says he loves China. The Premier Li Keqiang offers him a green card.
Li Keqiang.
I don't think that was correct, but I cannot tell you
I
what
couldn't
it should
tell you.
They were just sort of joking with one another on TV, and he's like, oh, I love China. And he's like, oh, we'll get you a green card.
Yeah, so...
You've also spent a lot of money in China, so we'll get you a green card is what that means.
He's also the first totally foreign-owned factory to be built in China.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because before you had to be in partnership with one of their businesses, but they have since relaxed that, and he's the first major company to build a factory.
They want his technology.
They do. They want those Teslas. They want them bad. One place that probably will not see a lot of Teslas. I'm going to make just a wild prediction here. You might think I'm crazy. I don't think we'll be seeing a lot of Teslas on the streets of Venezuela.
Venezuela has blocked Wikipedia after Maduro ousted from article, Internet Watchdog says. Things are pretty bad in Venezuela.
It's a bad time to be a nerd in Venezuela if you can't get to Wikipedia.
Well, you can get there. Well, maybe with a VPN, but stormtroopers will show up at your house and shoot you. So there is a opposition politician who's like kind of wanting to do a soft coup. And actually Trump is backing the other guy, talking about getting involved. How phenomenally stupid it would be if we got militarily involved in Venezuela.
It'll worst timeline will probably happen.
Level 1 prediction.
And of course it's Wikipedia. Anybody can edit it, right?
Yeah.
So somebody just went in and changed it and was like, this guy's the president now. And Maduro was like, it's out, done, no more Wikipedia. I'm sure he doesn't understand.
I was like, do you think an aide tried to explain it to him?
No, they're probably
Listen,
terrified.
sir.
They're probably just like, I agree completely. And, they have this nice little GUI, just block it.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
Well, you have to be careful when you are going for a job interview. And let me just give you a pro job search tip. If during the interview, someone sends you an executable file, that's a red flag.
North Korean hijackers infiltrate Chile's ATM network after Skype job interview. So a Red Bank employee applied for a LinkedIn job and got a call from the world's most active hacker crews. So this was like the hackers were pretending to be like a placement agency or something. And they sent them a program and were like, hey, run this program. And so this program does not look legit at all.
This is like baby's first Visual Studio form. Like they didn't brand it. They didn't lay it out well. There's no sort of theming at all. And that guy was like, sure, this seems legit.
It looks like an enterprise application to me.
Well, I mean, to be fair, having worked on enterprise applications, not always the best UI.
Yeah, and so don't the computer that you take resumes from people on, for God's sakes, don't also connect that to your internal ATM network for these reasons.
I'm not sure how they got from his machine to the ATMs. That's
because
a
they were
terrifying.
They poked around long enough and found it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Smart though. Smart. They did that specifically to try to catch high-level people from the jobs that they wanted, like banking jobs. So they posted the fake link and got a nice phishing domain and set it all up. It's a brilliant move, but
they got a tidal wave of applications.
She's talking about this story, which has to do with the Tidal streaming service.
Tidal's under criminal investigation in Norway over faked streams. We've covered the fake streams in the past. Like, we just sort of looked at it and laughed because it was like no one is going to bother using this service. We were right. But in Norway, the faking of the stream numbers is probably criminal.
Should be criminal everywhere because I think they pay based on streams.
Yeah. Listen, if Ajit Pai doesn't care about T-Mobile selling your location data, he sure as heck doesn't care about this.
But they are claiming that Jay-Z, Beyonce, and Kanye West streams were inflated. They are, of course, founders of Tidal.
I don't even know anybody else who's on that platform except for those
They mentioned
three.
a couple of people, but actually they have a picture. And I think,
of all three other people.
I think I recognize all of these people.
Oh, Dead
so
Mouse.
There's Deadmau 5. And is that Madonna?
Those poor saps.
I can't tell from here.
I think this is Nicki Minaj, maybe?
I thought the one guy went to work for Apple.
One of those has to be Beyonce, I would think.
I don't
but
think
I can't tell from
that
here.
doesn't look like her. There's somebody right here that's been cut out of the picture.
I don't know. I can't tell from here.
So
too blind.
I mean, you think anybody who was like, I would like to listen to Beyonce's album, was stopped by not having a Tidal subscription?
Let's just say I liked Lemonade, one of her latest albums, and I've
you're
listened
not
to
a
it.
Tidal subscriber.
No, I listened to it
Wait a minute.
exclusively on YouTube.
That's illegal.
What YouTube doesn't know can't hurt him. What Beyonce doesn't know.
Well, we've talked about the penchant for governments to turn off the internet when things get hot, especially if you have a protest, and how that's almost always a bad idea, but Zimbabwe clearly doesn't watch the Level 1 news.
Zimbabwe government has blocked the internet to suppress protests, but that has had a lot of unintended side effects, such as cutting power as a result, because apparently a lot of people in Zimbabwe pay by the day for power. Without internet, can't pay for power.
This guy loves Chevrolet.
Is he a member of my family?
So
a distant cousin.
These people prepay as little as $1 a day for power, which is pretty cheap. But
not pretty reasonable.
You have to pay every morning, and they use their mobile phones. So it's sort of, you don't get a bill, you just pay every day, and you keep your power going. And when the internet goes out, you can't do that.
Whoops. They figured out a way to get that back on, but leave most of the rest of the internet off. And then the VPNs worked for a little while, and then they didn't. It just seems like a mess. We should build the internet infrastructure to be resilient against such things, if only.
Well, how's it going to be resilient against somebody turning off? I guess if you had the loons up.
Yeah.
But Google would probably bow to the government, right?
Yeah.
Because they've done that
would.
over and over and over.
Turns out.
Like when they tried to make a search engine just for China.
Ooh, should we not have done that, or should we have done that more secretly?
I think the answer is more secretly.
Well, we've got artificial meat, lab-grown meat. We got that vegan stuff.
We've got moldy meat now that the FDA shut down.
We've got the nitrates or nitrites or whatever they call it. And it seems to
nitrates.
be we're moving toward artificial life, if slowly, and now we've made another important step.
Artificially produced cells communicate with each other. So we've got some completely artificial cells that are able to produce like a signal proteins, and the signal proteins can permeate the artificial cell walls and communicate with one another. Woo.
Now I have a problem here with this picture.
See, I think this is a great photo that stock photographers should take note of.
No, I don't think this is. This is actually these two people.
That's what I mean.
So she's wearing these protective gloves, but she's touching the disgusting mouse.
Maybe she's doing that to protect herself from the mouse and keyboard. Did you ever think about that?
There's FA outbreak in the office.
In the office. As it often happens.
That's in the cell. You can't, cell laboratories, filthy places. No one washes their hands.
Can't wash the keyboard. Well, it's fine.
What?
No, there's you can get a pathogen resistant, microbial resistant keyboard, and that keyboard was definitely not.
But is it really loud and obnoxious when you type on it?
It sure is.
It is? All right. Well, then.
RGB?
Sold. RGB.
No RGB.
I forget it then.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that has kind of become popular, at least here in the States, I'm sure it's all over, is the DNA testing. And a lot of people, they don't really think about it when they're doing it.
It's for dogs and humans that are popular now.
Oh, yeah, the dog DNA. But people don't think about the fact that this puts you in the system. And not only you, but your relationships, your close blood relationships, can then be tracked based on what you've done. But that's not the worst thing about it.
Twins get some mystifying results when they put in 5 DNA ancestry kits to the test. So these twins sent off their DNA to like a bunch of different places, and they got just wildly inconsistent results.
So 23andMe thought they were mostly Italian. And
different, even though they have identical DNA.
Ancestry DNA thought they were Eastern European and Russian. And MyHeritage DNA thought they were overwhelmingly Balkan. So, weird.
Neat.
They did have the DNA tested to make sure that they were, in fact, twins, and it was the same DNA. It was. So
what we're saying is all those things are BS.
Yeah.
Don't spend your money on them. For you or your dog.
It's kind of like getting your palm read. Yeah, do it for a good time. But when you get your palm read, it might not get you arrested in 5 years.
Think of all like the horror stories you heard on Reddit after this Christmas, where like families did the DNA kits together, and then it was like, "Dad's not your dad."
Yeah, there was the one story about the mom who was like, "That's stupid. Let's not even do that."
Yeah,
and then she was like, "All right, why don't? How about just Sarah do it and not the other 2 kids?" And they're like, "Mom, why are you being so weird?" Turned out Sarah was the only real child from that father. Yeah.
Oops.
Oops. Oh no, I accidentally had another man's child, as often happens by accident.
Well, we talked about 5G and AT&T's somewhat creative interpretation of 5G.
That the FTC really needs to get involved on to put a stop to.
Now,
they're out of office. They can't be expected.
I don't think this is an example of AT&T's 5G.
No,
I think this is some real experimental 5G.
This is like China or somewhere.
But this is a bold, bold move.
The first 5G remote surgery. Now, this guy is doing surgery by robot from a remote location. And the really exciting thing about this is the guy apparently completed the surgery despite having 100 milliseconds ping time.
That's pretty good. He should be a sniper.
The CSGO people in the audience are freaking out because it's like the latency was 100. It should be like 10 or 20.
Now, you might be thinking, oh, these madmen, how are they playing with human life like that? But it was an animal. They don't say what kind of animal it was. Imagine
One
that
of the
be pretty
researchers'
big,
dogs.
right?
Yeah.
Probably like a horse or something, and that was just like, let's not tell him it was a horse because
Oh,
people like horses.
I think he'd want to do maybe like a pig, right? Because aren't they closer to humans in terms of like their hearts and stuff?
That'd be a good match.
Yeah.
Well, if you've started 2019 and you feel like you just can't find your direction, you just can't get pointed the right way, there might be a reason.
Earth's magnetic field is acting up, and geologists don't know why. Although, that headline makes me think that it's something that's developed in the last couple of months, but there's actually like 100 years thing that the North Pole, magnetic North Pole's moved a fair bit the last 100 years.
Well, the thing is, it's moving so much faster now that they're having to accelerate. So the current model was supposed to last till 2020, but they're already going to have to change it. So they think there's a big vein of iron or something moving under Canada, but no one really knows. Who knows what's going on inside the ball in there? It's just
Maybe Sandal just wants to move. He's
Global
tired of being
warming.
in Canada.
Do you think global warming of the core?
Yeah. I don't know.
Sounds like science in the movie The Core.
Don't ducks use
Yeah.
the magnetic field?
Yeah,
So
like
this
when
so
they
they're going
migrate.
someplace else now, right?
Yeah. It's not,
I mean, they're probably still headed in the same general direction. But
yeah. If they fly generally north and rely on memory and visual cues, they're probably okay, but
What if they're just out over the ocean?
What if
And
they're
the-
bird box challenging it?
And the lead duck is like, guys, I got no excuse for this, but
something
this
has
is
gone
not
wrong.
where we're supposed to be. And his wife is behind him. It's like, I knew it.
I told you we should have asked for directions from those Canadian geese, and you said no.
Well, the Chinese Chang'e has landed on the far side of the moon, and everybody said, why? Why do it? I mean, it's cool. Okay, you've done it, but what science are
Weird
we going
flex,
to do?
but-
Return
Okay.
to the moon.
And China said, oh, I'll tell you what science we're going to do.
We're going to grow cotton. So, yeah, giant leaf for mankind. There's a
Here he is.
Look at him.
it's a cotton seed that germinated and then froze to death.
Immediately died.
He immediately died, but he did grow, which has never happened before.
And they say that they expected him to die, which is harsh, because the lunar night is 2 weeks long.
I don't know why he's a him, but I mean, press F for the little sprout.
Well,
I wonder if there's going to be like some archaeologist a zillion years from now that discovers that seed, and it's like, how on earth did this cotton seed get from Earth to
How
here?
on Earth? How on the moon?
Now, all these other little squares were different other kinds of seeds, and they all failed. They also have some flies that have not hatched.
I have they may have addressed this and I didn't see, but like, do they have a hypothesis about why the cotton sprouted over any of the others? I didn't think cotton was like a cold weather plant. I wouldn't think it would survive in that kind of condition. But
Yeah, it was. It's 120 C in the day in the direct sunlight, and a negative 120 at night.
That seems a little extreme.
Yeah. So,
why did the cotton grow over the others? That's interesting.
well, Krista, maybe you should become a Chinese scientist.
I think I'm gonna have a problem with part of that.
Let's solve
Maybe
these
both, but definitely one for sure.
Go to work for Tesla. Well, that's been government and science news. A little bit of an odd mix this week. And tomorrow, we'll have a big chunk of business.
All business.
And I forgot what the other one was.
It's almost all business.
Was it social?
I think it was social.
We had a section for security too. We had at least one story in security. that I
Security's
remember.
Friday.
Yeah, Friday is security, robots, and nonsense.
What you can't miss.
Or you can.
Or you,
No.
unless you do.
No.
Bye. Hello, friends. Today is January 23rd, and it's Level 1 News Day again.
What topics?
I immediately forgot. Business and social media.
There you go.
So we just talked about Facebook.
What's going on in the business world? That
Well,
means Tesla, right?
You know me.
Yeah,
I love to
Tesla.
start with Tesla. And what are they doing? They're cutting.
I don't know. So CNBC says Tesla's stock has sunk after cutting 7% of its workforce. 5 experts weigh in on what's next. But, I read the article. I didn't really see this as that negative. I mean, they got the Model 3 production up and running. I read another article that talked about how Toyota's EV production is actually pretty hurt by Model 3 sales. A lot of people are opting for the Model 3 over what Toyota is doing, which seems pretty positive.
Well, I think we have to admit that Tesla is number one in electric vehicles. I mean, you can't argue against that.
As much as we don't like Elon Musk, I'd say Tesla itself, though, is like it's pretty successful.
But the question is, can they hold on to that number one position? And maybe this story out of CNBC will convince you.
Tesla has $920 million in debt that is coming due March 1st, and it could wipe out a large chunk of the company's cash. So if the stock price is not over like $360 by then, they have to pay it out of their cash, and they've only got about $3 billion in cash right now.
$359.87, and I think their current stock price is like $310, $320.
Yeah,
and on a downtrend because of the layoffs. So what can they do?
The layoffs is a bad thing, though.
What can they do between now and March to recover that stock price?
Sell lots of cars, lots and lots and lots of cars.
I don't know. Is the end of winter a strong car buying period? I wouldn't think it would be.
When do people buy cars? That's a good question.
I mean, when they have to. Usually.
I'll say I waited until I drove mine, like the wheels were falling off.
The car did not survive the winter. Yeah, it could be.
Well,
maybe after winter.
We've got layoffs. We talked about layoffs in SpaceX last week. Layoffs in Tesla this week. Perhaps Musk is paring those down to work harder on his newest venture.
Neuralink, a future with Elon Musk's Neuralink. And so this is just an article about Neuralink. It's a chip he wants to implant to give you a direct interface to the computer. Because,
in your head.
Yeah, because
your brain.
Your eyes and ears, fingers are too slow.
Krista, rate this stock photo.
I'm going to give this a solid 2 out of 10.
I don't like it either.
No. This is a picture I would scroll past on a stock photo site and laugh at and be like, what does this have to do with what I looked up? But
so Musk claims that when questioned about the insanity of this venture, he says, you already use your phone like this, right? He doesn't want to do anything different than what your phone does. He just wants to skip the slow interface of finger, screen, eye, brain. Just wants to pump that information straight in.
What could possibly go wrong?
Well, I mean, they kind of have technology sort of like this where they have the thing where if you're comatose or you can't move, you can say yes or no with the computer screen. But that is extremely expensive and it requires a lot of work to get it
slow.
Do. Yeah, and it's how is that going to be any faster if you're physically capable of...
I built an EEG once where I could play Tux Racer where you basically lean left or right.
Yeah, I mean, but
again... It was fun. And it was wow, this is cool. And then I didn't care anymore.
Yeah, it seems like such a weird novelty. It just went from tweet to real company in a week as well.
Here's what I think. You know how we're always talking about how Musk and Bezos are the new supervillains. And I think what's going to happen here is Musk is going to draft Ray Kurzweil to spearhead this because, he wants to be a robot so bad. And then he's going to use that to control Kurzweil's evil genius or neutral genius and make him an evil henchman. But then, the good guys will eventually defeat him and deprogram him and then he'll fight for good. Because that's such a common comic book story.
Well, see, if you added a love triangle in there, preferably a gay one, I'd say that'd be a great fan fiction.
Well, is Kurzweil? I don't think he's gay.
No, I don't think so. But that doesn't matter in fan fiction world.
But he one of his weaknesses will be he has to get his daily vitamins or he loses his powers. He takes 500 vitamins a day.
It'll be funny if he dies of liver failure.
Oh, that'll be hilarious.
Well, no, because of all the pills that he takes.
That doesn't make it any funnier.
Well, not funny. Funny's not the right word.
Ironic, maybe, yeah.
He does look amazing. I haven't seen him in a while, but that documentary, for as old as he was.
Yeah, maybe I should start looking into what he's doing because it's I'm starting to feel the getting older, things are starting to fall apart.
It doesn't sound like a fun lifestyle. I'll tell you one thing I guarantee he doesn't do is start every newscast with a raspberry chocolate.
Or bag of M&M's.
Or Hershey Kisses.
I had a raspberry chocolate between the last 2 episodes.
Well, I gotta get excited for you guys. Excited.
There's a new CPU coming. She's hot. She's hungry. And she's not for you.
The Intel Core i9-9990XE, up to 5 gigahertz, auction only. So, Anantech, Ian Kuchis brings this article. The 9990, it's not 18 cores, it's 14 cores, but it's going to be 5 gigahertz. And system integrators can buy it on auction, 255 watt TDP, and it's not available for sale for the public. Only system integrators are going to buy it.
Who's it for? High frequency traders. That's who it's for. That's why it's auction, and that's why it is insanely fast, and the power requirements don't matter. because it's literally going to be printing money. Or attempting to, at least.
Pretty much.
Well, we talked about Apple's phone replacement program, and they didn't want to do it.
The battery
They didn't
replacement.
like it, and probably cost them money, and now we know about how much it cost them.
Yeah, we've covered several stories on this. This is fascinating, but this also, so Apple replaced 11 million iPhone batteries on its $29 program, the reports say. But if you think back to that shareholder call with Tim Cook, now you know why there was such terror in his voice. Like, if you just listen to him, the things that go unsaid, he seemed terrified of repair. It's the first time that Apple has ever mentioned repair might be eating into sales. 11 million people opted to repair their old iPhone. That is what ate into their sales. And so there is a very real need to repair these electronics. But secondly, it's also viable to repair these electronics. Like, I think this is, inevitably, it's going to be this massive legal court battle.
No, how long will it be before they just start upping the price of the batteries?
Or, well, I mean...
That would be the easiest solution, I
Yeah,
would
but
think.
then they can't. Like, if their battery is so much more expensive than someone else doing it with an off-brand battery, then they can't make the argument.
They're already seizing batteries that are not necessarily marked Apple, but just say Apple compatible. And that it's like as counterfeit for importing.
You got to think, if the number was 11 million, that's at least 3 million lost sales.
Yeah.
At least. That's a lot of iPhones.
That is a lot of iPhones when your profit margin on an iPhone is what, like 40 to 60%?
So you're looking at like $400 or $500 million at least.
Yeah.
That you just flush down the drain with your stupid program.
We wanted to see how it would go. We wanted to crush all these repair people. And it's like, oh, it turns out that a lot of people want to repair their electronics. Because it turns out...
They're big investments.
Well, not just that they're big investments, but the software is not advancing at such a rate as to demand new hardware.
Well, 2019 continues the trend of being just under siege of fake phone calls, phone spam. I had a guy call me the other day, and he didn't say, he was like, I answered the phone, and I said hello, and he was like, yeah? And I was like, what? What do you want? And I was like, dude, you called me. He's like, I think you know that your number was on my phone. And I didn't even bother trying to explain it to him because he was such an asshole. I just hung up. But that's what you get because they're spoofing your calls. Well, if you're a Verizon customer, maybe some relief.
Engadget has the article, Verizon will give subscribers free access to anti-robocall tools.
In March.
Yeah, this is a band-aid.
Somehow that's going to take another month to get roll out.
See, the thing with fake caller ID is that if it's a randomized number, maybe this can detect that. But then they're just going to pick more realistic randomized numbers.
I can't remember what they call it, but they've got something they claim will fight that. Stir shaken. I'm not sure exactly how that works. But going to get it in March, so I guess we'll see. They actually offer this already, but you have to subscribe to it. It's like $3 a month. But everybody gets it in March.
So Verizon doesn't actually want to get rid of spam, is what you're telling me? If they can turn it into a profit center?
And then
Yeah.
when it didn't work out,
Wasn't there a movie about this where the guy was selling weapons to both sides?
Well, that's the conspiracy theory about the Illuminati. Well, you talk about Verizon, and we did have the deregulation of the text messages, and a lot of people said we need this to fight spam, and a lot of people said, a lot of good text messengers are going to be caught in this. Who is a good text messenger? Well, it's up for debate. I don't know if I agree with this is good or not.
Verizon charges new spam fees for texts sent from students to teachers.
No, other way around.
Well, from
Teachers
to
to
students, yeah. Remind is the company. It says it must end free text messages for Verizon users because of the new fee. So Verizon is charging companies in order for their text messages to make it. This might be a good way to explain net neutrality to normies because you have a service and you receive text messages and you want this service, but Verizon is not going to let this service reach you unless Verizon also gets paid. Now you're already paying for your phone. You should be able to receive messages. But Verizon is saying, no, you send a lot of text messages, we're going to charge you a fee to do that. I don't think that should be legal.
this particular program was like, if a teacher said like, oh, you have a field trip coming up, they would send a reminder text to students that night. Or you have an assignment due, whatever.
Could be very questionable whether or not the students actually want these text messages.
Yeah.
Do you think Remind has ever unknowingly been, a part of one of these female teachers seducing the young boys?
I think it would send a mass text to your entire class, right? Not just to
I don't
individuals.
know. Maybe you can target it. You can probably create little groups. Oh, Boiler Snake is super turned on by hot teachers and young boys. I keep telling them, it's like, dude, you got to quit searching for that on Google. But yeah. Well, we talked about the bounty hunter buying location data. That's been a big story, and one by one, the big phone companies are bowing down, and this week is no different.
Sprint to stop selling location data to third parties after the motherboard investigation. Now, this headline is from January 16th, 2019. Just want to make clear that they also said they were going to stop selling location data in June of 2018, which did not happen.
But I think
It might this time, though.
No, I think they did stop selling it to that one prison company that they got caught. That's so this time they're going to stop selling it to the bounty hunters.
Oh.
Next time you're going to be like, hey, they already did that. No.
Just the
Next
one.
time there'll be someone else that they're selling it to. That's different. That's different. Yeah. Well, it'll be. Here's an engagement challenge. Are you one of the few, the proud, the Windows 10 mobile users?
Microsoft has suggested that Windows 10 mobile users switch to iOS or Android as support winds down. Yeah, this is a dead platform.
Yeah, I didn't know Windows phones were still really a thing. I don't know anyone who owns a Windows phone.
Microsoft literally murdered Nokia, the indestructible phone company. Their phones were indestructible, and Microsoft killed them from within.
Well, their shield was down. They trusted them. They were asleep.
And Microsoft literally sent Hugh back to the Borg, and it destroyed the collective.
Listen, this is great that they're killing off this phone, but can they just kill off i11 too, please? It's caused me more headache in the last 2 weeks.
i11. We've learned that governments still like to use it.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's just scary. Well, Netflix is a juggernaut. We all know how powerful they are, but we didn't know exactly how powerful because they don't release numbers, but they have given us one little tease.
It has captured 10% of all TV time in the U.S. and discloses some colossal numbers for its shows, according to CNBC. So I think this is done strategically ahead of some pretty substantial price hikes because their stock is going to tank after those price hikes.
Yes, and those big numbers they announced were what they are going to pay in the coming year for shows.
And it's a lot.
It is astronomical. But how are they going to pay for it? Well, how are you going to pay for it?
Netflix raised prices and the stock has soared. So I think this is a temporary situation. I think it's going to go down a whole bunch. But after people are like, what? And then they just abandon.
8 to 9 for the pleb tier, 11 to 13 for the normie, and 14 to 16 for that 4K deliciousness.
I got rid of Netflix maybe 6 months ago, and I haven't really missed it.
I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking because I'm on the $14 tier now, and that's like, what, really?
I was paying I think 11 or 12, and I just wasn't using it enough to warrant it.
I think if I were the business development people in Netflix, I would be looking at the cable TV people, because the cable TV people are racing toward $200 a month, and people are cutting the cord like crazy. So if you're a new subscriber on Netflix and you're not used to the lower price and you're coming from cable TV, I think you're going to be happy. Even if it was like $25 a month, I think you would be happy.
Maybe,
but they get rid of a lot of long-time subscribers.
Yeah, a lot of the long-time subscribers will be super upset.
But what I will do is what I started out doing. I'll just buy gift cards.
Yeah.
So that I can take months off.
Now, if they really want to have their cake and eat it too, they should announce that those prices apply to existing customers, but new customers are going to be $25 a month. And then everybody will not cancel their subscription to avoid getting the higher fee.
But then they'll also just share their accounts.
Yeah.
And resell their accounts.
Yeah, resell. That's a cool idea.
We can deal with that technologically.
Maybe. I don't know. I say that I'm going to get rid of Netflix, and I'm thinking about it, but I watched a lot of the new Punisher season yesterday.
So is that out? I watched the first season. It was okay.
I really liked the first season. The thing I loved about the first season is it didn't waste your time. It was like story, pretty decent story, and then just shooting guns.
I feel like Stan Lee was standing over the writers because I got the same thing, and Stan Lee was like, "Look, this is the Punisher. He punishes things," and then they would start to go, and then he was like, "No, this is the Punisher. Yeah. He punishes things.
He hasn't killed anybody in like 20 minutes." The first episode of the season 2 is just steaming pile of shit. It is absolutely unwatchable. There's almost no killing people in it. It's all just like this
Backstory melodrama.
It's like a little romance, and the dialogue speed has been at least halved in season 2. Like they're just staring at each other pensively and talking slowly, and I don't know what happened to that series.
Maybe I won't watch it.
Speaking of things becoming slow and unexpectedly watered down, could that be true for the F series?
TechCrunch has the article, could Ford's iconic F-Series trucks... No. Ford's iconic F-Series
It is not a question.
Are going electric. I was like, could they still be crappy?
It's not a question. It's actually going to happen.
So is this why they're parking in Tesla superchargers?
No, they're doing that just because they're assholes.
Yeah.
Those are gas ones. These ones haven't been released yet.
But now I don't know enough about the... we know the electric motors directly in the wheels are faster than
More
gasoline
efficient.
cars. Well, they're faster too. Like the Model S is... I don't know how much it weighs, but it's a super fast car for the price. But for like super duty towing and hauling, are they as good?
Oh, you can get insane torque, but I
Well,
think
torque is the hauling end of the
Yeah.
like horsepower for top speed, torque
Most people
for...
I know who own a F-Series truck, like they work on a farm in some capacity. Or like they work in construction. I couldn't see someone like that.
But I also see, you take it out into, like, let's say you're working on construction or mining, then you almost use it as a portable power system as well.
Yeah.
But you need that fuel to run the batteries. And, like, I don't know, you're in a place where you can't recharge it easily.
I think the physics of the situation in general terms is that if you had a supercapacitor to get you from like resting up to whatever RPM you need, and then you could draw from the battery consistently, like you weren't dumping a bunch of energy from the battery all at once to get everything up to speed, that is the most energy efficient from like a long, like if the battery slowly charges a supercapacitor and then it's like, okay, I'm going to mash the gas and get a ton of torque and it's draining the supercapacitor, maybe something like that would work really well. But the F-150 with like the usage model, I don't think it'll, because even the Tesla, like when the Grand Tour or I don't know if it was Grand Tour or when they were doing the Tesla testing, the battery would only last 51 minutes on their test track.
Well, the F-150, I think, is fine because that's like a sort of light duty truck. The F-350, the six-wheeler,
Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
It's going to be like 3/4 of the weight's going to be battery or something probably. That seems crazy.
I don't know. We'll see. That's definitely going to be. You're going to take some ribbing from your other giant truck owning friends if you're the first to roll out with the electric Super Duty.
If it saves them a bunch of money though on like fuel costs, they might let up on the jokes. Maybe.
Not going to make cool noises either.
Yeah.
Well, IBM is in a bit of trouble after they're being accused of age discrimination.
Now, we've covered this story a couple of times in the past, but the Register has this article here. IBM HR made me lie to the U.S. government, says asked the VP an age discrimination legal row. I was ordered to cover up layoffs of older workers. I could not find a U.S. source for this, but if there's any truth to this, Big Blue is going to be in so much trouble.
Why didn't they just spell out discrimination?
Maybe the field, like when they entered into the website. Maybe it like had a character
It was
limit.
one word per field? Because that's a giant headline.
Maybe it's so big they couldn't get it any shorter.
So
like
this
they had to cut something.
This woman, who ironically enough was in her 60s, worked in HR, and she was just laying people off. It's like, oh, this is what I do. And she started to notice the trend. They were all over 50, and she blew a whistle, and she was out. So now she is doing her own age discrimination suit.
Listen, it's not that, and it's so not that. We can't have you even saying that it might be that, so you have to go.
And I don't even think it's as much that older people don't perform as well. It's just that, your salary goes up, your benefits go up.
You don't respond to the fire drill. Oh my God, we're going to lose the client.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's like, I've been at this rodeo for 20 years now. Get over it.
You've learned that that's just, business as usual, and it doesn't have to, you don't have to freak out. And definitely, you probably don't respond well to the fresh new manager who's an idiot. And
There's probably some of that,
are
yeah.
angry about that.
I've been to the Newton School of Modern Management for Millennials and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you're an idiot. Just go away. Let me do my job.
I love those stories about in Vietnam, they'd bring in the West Point boys. And it's like, he's in charge of a unit, and they get him out in the jungle and be like, listen, shut up or we're going to kill you. Well, if you have a GPS app on your phone, you might want to take an extra look at it.
Well, if you're watching this show, you're probably not an idiot, but ZDNet has the
You
articles
are
like,
making such an assumption.
Yeah, that's a big assumption.
Have you read the comments?
some Android GPS apps are just showing ads on top of Google Maps. Apps have been downloaded over 50 million times collectively, and Google has failed to remove them even if they blatantly break their own license. Literally, these apps just put ads on top of Google Maps. They're for people that are like, do I need a GPS program? And they download it. You don't need that. You have maps on your phone. It's
It
built
comes
in.
default, yeah.
You literally already have that.
This is like going to Google and typing in www.weather.com in the Google search bar
I've seen it
and
happen.
clicking the first link. That's what this is. Except they make money from it.
When you do that too many times, Google sets an idiot mode on your profile, and it's real hard to get that turned off.
How did you learn that, Wendell?
Helping people.
Well, the other thing that Google's doing that's kind of surprising is raising some prices, the G Suite. And this is an amazing headline.
Google raises G Suite prices by 20%, and it now costs more than Office 365. That is baffling. Because Office 365 is a much more complicated product than G Suite.
A much more capable product. And you can get offline versions of Office 365. You can actually download the desktop versions at no cost if you have the subscription. And Google does not offer that.
Can you imagine if Google was putting all of their money, like if you wanted an offline version of Office, if they were dumping some of their G Suite money into like Open Office or LibreOffice or something like
How
that?
about some of their Dragonfly money?
They could be making the open source world better. Instead, they're working
They don't
to
care about that. They care about making money.
Yeah.
Not making the open source world better.
Demonetized.
Oh, well. Well, at Verizon, one thing so they like charging you for text messages. They don't like spam. And they very much don't like unions.
Union busting 101 documents reveal Verizon's attacks on organized labor. So this is documents handed out to managers at Verizon wireless stores, I think.
Yes.
And there's a lot of really interesting stuff in there.
This is in response to a couple of stores that did manage to unionize. And a couple of other stores that, like, they were going to vote. So the way it works is like a certain percentage of the people in the store have to want to do it. And if there's any small percentage of outliers, then you'll lose the chance to vote for another year. So the managers actually got to a couple of people and turned them, and they were too afraid to vote. So it's sort of like this ongoing battle of like, hey, how many turncoats can we get here? And so they're doubling down, and someone leaked their internal documents.
The strategy.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of fascinating, the level of psychological manipulation that's in the document.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of torn on unions because certainly these corporations are evil, but I think the unions themselves
Are very susceptible to the same
are
level.
cancerous. Yeah, eventually, especially these big. I mean, you talk about like the auto worker union and stuff like
Why is
that,
everything terrible?
and then they become political, and then it
Yeah.
gets really weird. So I don't know.
It start out just, it's like Amazon. It's like, I just want a potty break. And somehow that turns into, we have to like bust these people to somewhere in like red hats. And it's just, how did we get here? How did we get here?
Well, if you've always wanted Bitcoin, but just weren't smart enough to figure it out, like all the online stuff, and you're like, man, I don't know. I'd love to be part of the Bitcoin revolution, but can I just give you some cash?
Yes.
Good news.
Coinstar machines will start selling Bitcoin at the grocery store. I wonder what kind of VIG they're taking, because the VIG that they take for converting change to cash is kind of high.
This is such a bizarre thing, but it's also like it's kind of cool in a weird way.
You know what drives me crazy about the Coinstar thing is if you go to a bank with your coins, they usually will just turn you away.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, you're a bank. I have currency. I want to put this currency in the bank. And they're like, no, our machine gets broken because of nails. So yeah, Coinstar takes a huge hit. And now you don't have to use loose coins to buy your Bitcoin. It's the good news. You can use paper money if you want. but I think they will take. Also, it's not just going to like print out a key for your Bitcoin. You're going to get a CoinMe account, and then you have to transfer it out. They probably take a piece there too. But you can do it if all you got is cash. This could be huge for money laundering.
Well, Bitcoin's not doing so hot, right? Did we check how much it was before we started recording?
It's not doing good.
Yeah, it's where it has been.
It's on life support.
Yeah, it's resting quietly.
Coinstar probably made that deal months ago, and they just now got it implemented.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, dang it.
Well, moving
Crap.
on to social media, Facebook is facing a record-setting fine, although the record is kind of low.
U.S. regulators have met to discuss imposing a record-setting fine against Facebook for privacy violations. U.S. regulators are a little slow on the uptake. We're running, like a year and a half behind?
Well, at least they're doing something, right?
2 years behind?
Even during the shutdown. So the record is 22.3 million against Google. So it'll be more than that, but we don't know how much.
And we don't know if anything will really come of this, or if this is some sort of dark negotiation for something else.
Even if it's 30, I think Facebook is like, oh, we thought you were serious. You want that in cash? Now this headline, I have to remind you, and I know I've said this before, but once again, it bears repeating. When these studies come out, we're not talking about the average Facebook user. I mean, maybe we are, but we're talking about people who are stupid enough to pick up the phone and actually answer a poll.
Most Facebook users don't know that it records a list of their interests, new study finds. 74% of people weren't aware of Facebook's methods. So yes, this was phone survey things, but apparently the people that answered the phone, they somehow were able to pull the
Well, they told them it was like, hey, log into Facebook and type in this URL and they'll show you what they know about you.
Yeah, 51% of people were very surprised that it had a list as accurate as it was.
But again, okay, that's
people that answered the
that's
phone.
51% of people who didn't say like, are you stupid? I don't have time for this.
Yeah. Or
I'm
just hung up
busy.
immediately.
The other 49% were like, look, I am cripplingly lonely. And it's okay that Facebook is building this profile because I can have some human contact that way.
They logged onto Facebook and it was like, oh, my grandson won the basketball game.
I love that.
He's so good at the basketball.
Crippling loneliness is a very powerful thing to let people do terrible things to
But
you.
it doesn't represent the population.
No.
So
Or they forget that they had like one grandson, and Facebook reminded them when they looked at it. Oh right, I have 7 grandkids.
I forgot.
I have to go. I have to send them a birthday card.
Well, speaking of Facebook grandkids, it turns out that they are also a little bit confused about Facebook.
Lawsuit reveals how Facebook profited off confused children. According to the report, Facebook failed to refund parents whose children accidentally bought games. I don't know how much I believe accidentally, but I would totally believe that it's like grandma's like, here, I signed up for whatever, and then it's like, oh, I had no idea that this was happening.
And it could keep charging you.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't love Facebook or anything, but I say these people should have to pay every cent.
I know somebody's grandma that spent they're on fixed income and they're very poor, and they spent probably $200 or $300 on, I think it was Plants vs. Zombies upgrades. Remember like Plants vs. Zombies, like the Facebook edition, and it was just like,
Well,
what are you doing?
That's an important lesson. Yeah, hey, don't do that.
They didn't remember that they had given it the credit card for something else. I was like,
Monitor your children.
yeah.
Or
Your elderly,
as it turns
the
out.
case may be.
I mean, think about all the horrible things that your kids could be into. They could be joining ISIS. You have to
On
pay
Twitter.
attention to what they're doing.
Oh, thank goodness they were only buying upgrades in Plants vs. Zombies.
Plants
or
vs.
whatever.
Zombies is fairly behind.
Tame, considering what else is on the internet. They could be on 4chan.
Well,
No paid upgrades there.
Yeah.
Facebook has fallen. It is no longer on the throne. But the good news for them is they still own the throne.
WhatsApp is now Facebook's most popular app. So they spent $500 million on this. I guess that was a good investment. Now,
Wasn't it? I thought it was like 19 billion.
was it?
I don't
thought it was
remember.
$500 million. This thing talked about that.
19 billion.
Oh, 19 billion. Wow. Good
Yeah.
Lord.
Wow.
Well, that was 19 billion well spent.
Oh, it was 450 million active users, not dollars. Active users.
Oh.
I knew there was a $500 million in there somewhere.
So now it's quite a bit more than that, and it's number one. And you got to give it up. I mean, say what you want about Zuckerberg, but he saw the writing on the wall, and he knew exactly what to do about it. Of course, he was spying and manipulating us psychologically to get that information. But hey, all's fair, right?
And he is not resting because they're working on something else in that same vein.
I have a feel. So somebody else invented WhatsApp, right?
Yeah.
And he just bought it.
Yep.
That's the move. That's what he should be doing. Because when he tries to come up with stuff, you get something like this.
Facebook said to be secretly working on a LOL meme hub app.
It means laugh out loud.
In case you guys didn't know.
So here it is. Krista, design.
It's one of those features that shouldn't even exist, that there is no good design for it. It's just, why?
Fair enough.
Why is it there?
And it might not be a Facebook feature. It might be a standalone app, just like WhatsApp. But it's going to be for children to trade
find
memes. Yeah. Memes.
What a great use of time.
I have a feeling that Zuckerberg somewhat understands what that means. He doesn't.
Surely how old is he?
He doesn't understand why the humans enjoy it. But he does understand what it is.
That's true. His body is young, but his robot interior is much older.
Isn't that how the robots are always depicted in science fiction? It's like it takes them thousands of years to really comprehend something that we innately, like the humanity of whatever.
Yeah.
Humor.
But
Yeah.
they're better at everything else.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, another problem at Facebook is some people at Facebook seem to be drinking the Kool-Aid. Maybe mainlining the Kool-Aid.
Or maybe they're just being paid to drink the Kool-Aid.
Facebook employees busted leaving 5-star reviews for Portal on Amazon. Portal is like Amazon's Alexa with a camera and a screen.
But it's for Facebook.
It has to have
Facebook
a camera, of course,
manufactures
because it's Facebook.
Yeah. And the reviews are like, wow, I can have video calls with my family. This is way better than the phone. It's amazing. It's from people inside the company, which you're not allowed to do.
Oh, there was only 3 instances of that. But there was 3 really long, glowing reviews. Enough that people were like, wait a minute. And actually checked, and it's like, yeah. And that's against Amazon's policy, by the way. You cannot review your own company's products.
So I think emails have been, according to Twitter, the guy on Twitter, emails have been sent to these employees to ask them to take their reviews down.
Yeah.
But,
and
yeah.
he claims there was no internal collusion. It was totally, they were operating on their own.
They just really loved it.
Rogue actors.
That much.
Really, really loved it. It also shows that they were verified purchases from Amazon, which means that Facebook didn't even give them a free one.
Yeah.
So they reimbursed them.
Zuckerberg. Well, Twitter. Now, Wendell, you have admitted that even though you have a crippling Twitter addiction, you will not go so far as to install the app.
I have refrained from installing the app. The app actually has some compelling features, and I have not installed it.
But it also has reasons not to use it.
A Twitter bug exposed some Android users' protected tweets for years. Well, yeah. So you could have done the protected tweet thing, which means that only people that you have pre-screened, I guess, can see your tweets. Except if you were on Android and used the app, in which case maybe that didn't happen sometimes.
If you changed any settings, you could have lost that setting.
What?
Yeah.
Every time that we read this story, I'm like, what is the point of having a protected tweet that you only show one person? Can you just text them?
Oh, I bet that the thoughts do it. So you have this inner circle of your sugar daddies.
Wouldn't you do that with page? Aren't there other alternative services that do that better?
Oh, these girls don't want tax records.
That's true. But now Android's opened it up.
Krista, you're so innocent. Of course, there's usefulness for that. I mean, plus it gives those guys a feeling of there's something special. So they'll keep sending that money every month in a garbage bag dropped off at our doorstep on a certain date, predetermined. Well, we've talked about. Let's see. There was the hot water challenge. There was the bird box challenge. There's the Tide Pod challenge.
The Helen Keller challenge, which is a variation of the Bird Box challenge.
Which no one has done except you.
Well, I did as a kid because I wanted to see what it was like to be like Helen Keller.
There were several other ones that I'm not thinking of, but the challenges must stop.
YouTube has cracked down on harmful and dangerous challenges and pranks. So that means Logan Paul's banned, right?
both of the Paul brothers. There's a picture of them in the article.
Well, it's interesting that you would say use a word like banned. Because here's what's going to happen. You will go on a little bit of a probation for 90 days. You will be asked to delete the offending video. And in that 90 days, if you do another stupid challenge, you will get a strike. At the end of the 90 days, presumably, you go right back to your stupid challenges until you get another probation.
So it seems like that's easy enough.
Seems like they might know that they make a lot of money from these challenges.
Yeah. How do we walk that line?
Blindfolded.
You don't walk that line because they don't really care about the kids who mimic this. They just want money.
I weep for humanity.
Well, Friday, you can weep a little bit more as we take a look at nonsense and robots. And
Nonsense cheers me up.
just a little bit of design.
Yeah, there was
Do
like
we have
one
anything
story.
else? I don't remember.
The design story could very well be in the nonsense section.
Maybe maybe something else I don't
Totally done.
remember. Don't remember if there was another topic, but there might be.
See you Friday.
Hello. Today's January 25th. It's Friday, and today is the nonsense day of the news. And electric bill day.
It's right there on the screen. That's a robot.
It's robots and
And
nonsense.
security.
We have one design story, right?
Oh, yeah.
We've got lots of categories, but they're all kind of small.
But we will start. Oh, keyboard's still on the desk.
No one noticed.
That's
Just
not professional. Just throw that in the floor.
like the professionals we are.
We'll start with robots, and I am impressed with this robot.
Yeah, I think this one's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Berkeley's two-armed robot hints at a new future for warehouses. So it's hard to make a hand for a robot to pick up stuff. So this robot has two different kinds of hands for picking stuff up.
It's got suction cup on the right, pinchers on the left.
That seems like such a good like system, so it can pick up the things it needs to. That being said, it doesn't have great control. Like it'll just pick things up. Like it'll pinch it and then just kind of fling it, whether or not it has it or not.
They trained it with AI though. So, I mean, it's got like a 90% success rate picking things up just without...
Yeah.
But the great thing about it is they didn't train it with the AI by actually like letting it do things. It
Simulation.
simulated its own existence until it got good, which is that's some next level robot stuff that we can't compete with.
Somebody should reimagine the Matrix as that, where it's like the human race is in a simulation until it gets to a point where it won't destroy itself, and then it's continued to allow it to exist. It's like, congratulations, you're a member of the human race that is not hell-bent on self-destruction.
Well, that wouldn't be a great movie because there's no risk. Like
Yeah,
every
there's
time we wipe
no
ourselves out,
conflict.
you just start over.
Well, it is. I mean, there is kind of a psychological conflict there because it's like, oh, do I go back inside the machine or do I,
Yeah.
is this?
Sure, why not?
I don't know.
Also, going back and like look at our escapism.
Yeah.
We destroy ourselves as a way of entertainment. So. Well, I don't remember how long ago it was, but we talked about the robot hotel. The big thing I remember about it was that they had dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And
It was
that's like,
bizarre.
why do they have dinosaurs? Well, it turns out maybe a lot of their choices were weird.
The world's first robot hotel has massacred half of its robot staff. Now, I thought that this would be like a lot of changes. No, they just got rid of the in-room robot assistants and like one of the concierge robot.
But that was 50% of their robots.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the ones in the rooms, they registered like snoring as talking, so it would like wake up and be like, "Hello, I didn't understand what you were saying," and like the person would be like, "I'm asleep."
and the luggage carrier bots couldn't do stairs.
Yeah,
So,
Oops.
yeah.
not ideal.
Well, but when we're not getting rid of robots, we're learning to live more peacefully with them. And that's what Amazon is working on.
Amazon has created a vest that alerts robots to a human's presence. So if you enter the warehouse without wearing a vest, say a burglar, you're going to get run over by one of these like pallet lifting robots. These are the ones that go under the shelves and lift the shelf up and then bring the shelf to you.
It looks like a Roomba on steroids. Like that's Daddy Roomba.
They could really mess up your ankles.
Yeah.
I imagine. But if you look, it's more of a belt, actually. So it's like this thing, and I imagine this pouch is part of it, and then it's got some suspenders to hold it because it's heavy. But
It looks kind of like she's wearing cyberpunk face paint too, but it's cool.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I like to imagine.
That's
That
just
might,
her,
that might be her highlighter. Like if she put on makeup that
that's
morning.
the dried, crusted tears because she hasn't had a bathroom break in days.
That's a joke from earlier episodes of the news. Not this week, but in the past.
She's covered in urine. And she's trying to hide
Her
her
pants
fear.
are baggy and hanging because they're sagging full of liquid.
I think we've got a preview of like the 9th or 10th generation Amazon warehouse robots in our next story, although that's not what it's about.
Do you think there'll be Gundams?
Yes.
Giant Gundams?
Look, it's the new
It's a
Amazon
Gundam.
warehouse robot. No, it's like 2 men have been arrested for Gundam fraud. This can only happen in Japan.
How many pics per minute you think he's capable of?
Many, many, many more pics per
I
minute.
don't
than
know.
the
He's
other
got those
thing.
big hands.
A smash per minute, maybe.
So this guy goes around to conventions and stuff. You know, he's like a PR thing. He's a statue, but he does
He does
quote
other
unquote
things.
transform. So he lights up and I guess these vents open up. It's like Super Gundam. I don't know the Gundam lore. Do you guys?
No, I never watched it.
But anyway, it's not the robot necessarily that is the story here. It's what the robot people did to the robot creator.
They demanded a payment, but they were trolls. They were trolls.
Well, I don't know if that was trolling necessarily. They were thieves.
Yeah.
That's the word for those fraudsters.
They were like, you need to pay us extra money because reasons. And the company was just like, okay, sounds good.
But by us, they meant Namco Bandai.
yeah, yeah.
But
But
Representatives
they pocketed
of.
the money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they did that a bunch of times before they got caught. So, but they did get caught.
Finally, it was so much they called somebody and it's like, we got to stop this. And it's like, stop what? What are you talking about?
Yeah. Now this next robot, Krista was super excited about.
I was thinking this was going to be a lot cuter than it turned out to
But
be.
then she immediately turned against it. She now hates it.
Delivery drones to use bird-inspired legs to jump into the air. So you're thinking like, oh, it'll be cute, like little bird jump, like you see them in like the parking lot, little sparrows and stuff. No,
No.
this thing is horrific, and we can scroll down and you need to look at it.
Really, I mean, I wasn't as terrified as she was.
It's the, is this the bird box challenge that I've heard so much about?
No, look at it.
Oh,
Oh, it freaks! Look at that.
it is. There's something very insect-like about it.
That's why I don't like it. I
Yeah.
think because it reminds me of cave crickets,
Yeah.
sprickets.
A cricket is a good example of it.
You know, you go to smash it and it just comes
Listen.
right back up at you.
Listen to that dubstep.
Ugh.
Oh, don't play again video. No,
Oh,
you
but
must
it wants
stop.
to.
So let's take a look at this thing. The cool thing about this is not so much the jumping legs. It's these over the wing jets. So it turns out when you use these over the wing jets, the propulsion is coming directly from the engine rather than the air moving over the wing. So you don't need that forward motion to take off. All you need is a little jump. So hey,
A little jump, yeah, like a giant.
some super legs. all
It
you
is. It is a cool thing. I just didn't expect it to be so creepy.
I'm imagining like, you know, the UPS delivery truck of the future where these like swarm out from the top of it. And then the very next year or the year after, there's the automated law enforcement truck that's just the repurposed UPS truck that has a lot more of those with guns.
Well, I don't
They
think
do kind of like maybe like a locust swarm, like over your city.
I don't think they would be good for those kind of drones because they can't hover.
Oh,
They
yeah.
have to be moving. They'd have to strafe. Whereas with a rotor drone, you could just float and shoot. It's going to be a lot easier. And our next robots
Much
are
cuter.
also mimicking an animal and could also be abused by law enforcement.
Yes. Continental. Look at that. There's little delivery dogs that are deployed from some sort of delivery dog van thing.
What a terrible layout for a website.
This is the most bizarre layout. It looks even weirder when you're in full screen, but
But
like
here they are. They're little dogs, and they're carrying the boxes on their back. I wonder what they would do with a little tiny box.
It's probably a box within a box.
yeah, that's what I would think.
And then here's the truck. Here's the
Aw.
dog truck. It's cute in itself, right?
Yeah,
You ever get one of those packages where like it's a big package, but all the weight is in like one corner of the box? I wonder how they would struggle with that.
you think you could
Yeah.
compensate?
Well, it would have to be tethered somehow too, right? Because somebody's going to grab it and run, or the wind is going to grab it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of unanswered questions about the dog robots.
They're very cute though. Much cuter than the bird.
It is a cool idea because for some reason on their website they don't show a picture, but these are like the Boston Dynamic robots. So they can get upstairs and open doors and break into your house.
Give you nightmares. Yeah.
Nice.
This next robot, I thought it was a cool idea, but then it has a very limited scope of work. I think.
It really does.
This is retail. It's like nearly 500 robots powered by retail business services and Badger Technologies hit the floor at Ahold Delhaize USA's Giant Martins and Stop and Shop brands.
That's a terrible headline.
That is a terrible headline. This robot basically just watches out for puke.
And spills.
And then it doesn't clean them up, which is kind of what you'd think it would do. It actually just alerts a human worker and stands there and looks.
It doesn't have hands. How can it clean them
I
up?
was thinking maybe it could hoover
I
over
think it
it.
could be like a wet vac, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But no, his giant googly eyes stare at you. Oh, we had a question. Go back and show him the picture of him again.
Oh, right, yeah. So I think this looks like buck teeth. Krista thinks this is the nose and this is the mouth.
Yes, and that's your engagement challenge this week, to tell me I'm right.
I don't know.
Nah, I don't. I think it works better because he looks, with the googly eyes, he looks extra stupid with the teeth here.
I think Futurama ran about 10 or 15 years too early because there would be no end of jokes that Futurama could get out of that robot.
Now this is our one design story.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say I don't like it.
I don't care for it either. This is Slack, which is a project management system. We've used it a little bit here, but
Well, it's more of a chat.
yeah.
It's IRC on that's had a lot of modifications.
Yeah, and this logo is so sort of bland and
This is the
uninspired.
new one.
I'm kind of disappointed they didn't keep the plaid. I thought the plaid was a nice, even if they just kept it as an element, but they didn't even keep it in like any of the elements.
They talk about the old logo being super problematic on anything other than a white background.
Well, that's true, but like they could have kept it so it still worked in one color here, or like, but it's just it kind of loses a lot of the character of the original, I think.
If they're worried about this, they're making entirely too much money.
Yeah.
Also the
Oh, and
hashtag.
they hired Pentagram, which like you guys probably don't know who Pentagram is, but that's like a really big design firm, and they have like history-making designers working there. So like that was not cheap for them to hire Pentagram to do that, and it was not that good of a redesign.
But plus the hashtag is like so, relevant.
And ubiquitous, yeah. And now it's just like this weird blob.
Although I guess in the IRC scope, like it's not, because IRC used to be hashtags, like that's what you used it for, and then Twitter came around and no one remembers. They all forgot about Dre.
And now
Nice.
it's been distanced from that even more by this rebrand, and now it's just a blob for a logo.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Even if it does reproduce well at different scales.
What can you do? Well, the thing that drives me crazy about Slack is when you use it in a browser, it does both the click, click, click sound and the Windows notification.
Yeah.
Oh, that's annoying. It makes me angry at the people that keep typing. It's like, stop typing. I don't want to hear your notifications anymore.
We don't use Slack too much in our office.
Well, we do on some projects.
Yeah.
So distracting.
Fortnite has conquered the world, and they've captured the minds of the children, which is what you have to do if you want to, be the next generation's leader. But they have a problem.
Fortnite bug gave hackers access to millions of player accounts, researchers say. So if you just saved your credit card, you could have had charges, and then the stuff that you bought would disappear to another account. So, it had laundry services built right in. This is criminal's dream. It's amazing.
And they haven't really gone into how many people this affected or like what all exactly.
Well, potentially it was everybody.
Yeah.
But I don't know how, if it was used much in reality. It was potential.
Epic is awful tight-lipped about it.
They probably don't know. Because,
Yeah, they may not have done a
when
full
people complain,
investigation.
it's like, hey, I lost my dance move. They probably don't elevate that to...
High priority immediately.
But here's a security alert that is a high priority. I have a Surface. This affects me.
Yeah.
I think it's going to affect pretty much everybody.
This Wi-Fi firmware bug affects laptops, smartphones, routers, and gaming devices. A list of impacted devices include the PS4, Xbox One, Samsung Chromebooks, and Microsoft Surface devices. This headline fails to report that, OMG, anybody that is in your immediate area can completely take over your device, corrupt memory, install malware because of bugs in the firmware of your wireless card.
And it's...
Marvell Avistar is what this security researcher has targeted, but it's actually anybody that uses this real-time OS that's running on the hardware, because the real-time OS is the thing that has the bugs.
I imagine everything Marvell probably has that, right? I mean, that's,
Probably a lot of stuff, yeah.
Yeah,
Probably more chipsets than just that, too.
So yeah, that's disturbing. Now the good news is this researcher did not release his code, but he kind of gave them a pretty good paint by number
Yeah.
on what to do here. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, this is like the word 700 million to 1.5 billion devices are affected. And I guarantee you all of those are not going to get patches. I think Microsoft's going to patch the original Surface Pro 2.
Yes.
I don't think anybody. I don't think they will.
Absolutely. Because they care.
Well, they might after they get sued. That'll be, what, 2 years down the road?
Yeah, support for that ended like 2 years ago. So, I mean, they're
not going to support their mobile phones.
no, those are garbage. There's a lot of phones that are like on that 2 to 3 year old mark that are now going to be garbage. They're not going to get any updates.
But they definitely have Wi-Fi.
Wow, that's going to be bad.
Well, the mobile phone malware people are actually getting more and more clever. Now, this guy was a security researcher, but it could have just as easily been a malicious actor. And they are not only getting better at the malware, they're getting really good at hiding it.
Evading detection. Ars Technica brings us the headline: Google Play malware used phone's motion sensors to conceal itself. Now, they weren't hiding in the motion sensors, but the malware would check to see if the phone has data coming from the motion sensor in order to determine what to do. Because if you're on a simulated phone, the malware wants to hide, and that's what it would do.
Now, in your phone emulators, you have to have constant motions being simulated as well. That's hilarious.
Seems like there's an easier way to detect stuff, like just look for the Google Play apps, because you normally have those on an emulator.
Yeah, but that would be easier to fix once they figured it out.
It's going to be an arms race. What a time to be alive.
Well, listen, I think the pendulum is swinging toward the malware makers right now.
Yeah.
And another thing that they're going to get, a nice little present for them, a nice little President's Day present. Wait, no, it's MLK. That's this week, MLK Day.
Yes.
And they're getting a nice big dump.
Over 87 gigabytes of email addresses and passwords have been exposed in the Collection 1 dump. So, yeah, it's 773 million unique email addresses and just under 22 million unique passwords have been found. They've been added to Have I Been Pwned, which is the website that Troy Hunt runs, which is an amazing service. You should check that out. You can plug in your email, and it will tell you if your email has been compromised. You can plug in your password, and it will tell you that your password has been compromised. And I know it sounds crazy. It's like enter your password on a website. The website doesn't actually send your password anywhere. It does some computations on your password in JavaScript. And they don't even know which hash you checked. It checks a whole bunch of, like, it asks for a range, basically. But they can use that to determine if your password has been seen before, which I would recommend that you do, because, good Lord, everything has been compromised. This wasn't just one source. This was like the criminal enterprises collection from a whole bunch of different breaches, but there were breaches that we don't know about and haven't seen before. It's bad news.
Well, one way that the malware makers or the bad actors get to you is by injecting JavaScript. They'll get an ad account, and a trusted website will let them run ads, and they'll put the JavaScript in the ad, deliver a payload, and the latest criminal. Wait a minute, these aren't criminals.
It's GoDaddy. Tech Republic says that GoDaddy is injecting site-breaking JavaScript into customer websites. And the fix is that you go to your GoDaddy control panel and opt out of this cloud marketing nonsense.
You beg them to remove it. That's basically what
Please, sir.
Please don't add JavaScript to my webpage.
Of course, the JavaScript doesn't always break the site. It's actually a rare occasion. Most of the time, it's just silently running, tracking your users for GoDaddy, which is disgusting. So yeah, GoDaddy hosting, maybe you don't want to do that. Now, if you are one of these security-minded people, you want to do some white hat stuff, you want to hack for good, but you want to gain from it, well, how would you like to gain a car?
Tesla is entering the Model 3 in the Pwn to Own, one of the world's toughest hacking contests. So yeah, hack the Model 3 and you win it. I'm going to make a level 1 prediction. The Tesla Model 3 is going to be hacked in under 5 minutes.
Can I do the Price is Right thing and say 6 minutes?
No, you say 501.
Oh, yeah, 501.
Actually, he said under 5. You take 5.
Yeah.
5 plus. I think it'll take them a little longer than that, but I think they probably will. Now, it does have to be fairly severe. You can't just, maybe turn on one of the blinkers. That's not going to be enough. You're going to have to do something. But every system of the car is on the menu. because the whole thing is, a giant computer.
Well, you can't steal the car, but the driver also can't turn off the driver's side heated seat. So it doesn't matter if it's 150 degrees in the middle of Arizona, you're getting a heated seat.
That could be like a ransomware thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, the Alexa. Of course, we've covered that the Alexa is always listening. But what if you simply have to have an Alexa in your life, but you can't stand that? There is a solution. Krista, you should get this for your mom.
See, I'm almost positive we did a story like this last week, but I don't think it was this exact one.
This is the first truly great Amazon Alexa and Google Home hack. So this is the 3D printed computer that sits on top of your home assistant, and it feeds noise into the microphone, and it listens for you. But this thing is not on the internet. It's not internet connected in any way. And so it listens for you to turn it off so that then the home assistant can hear you. So the home assistant cannot be listening at all times.
Comments, am I going crazy? Did we cover this?
We did not, Krista.
Maybe we talked about it at lunch.
I think we talked about it at lunch.
But this is a great Photoshop, and Fast Company must have done this.
Yes.
Because that's not what it looks like. That's a mushroom.
Yeah.
Krista, what kind of mushroom is that?
I don't know.
You're a mushroom expert.
Not for random mushrooms they put on a stock photo. It could be from anywhere in the world.
So this is what it actually looks like. And actually, it's just a little Raspberry Pi built thing with a speaker in it. You can make your own. You can't buy them, actually, but you can make your own. And that's a cool solution.
It is. It really is. It's a clever, awesome solution. I should have thought of this because it's so clever and brilliant.
But
it's so nice.
But it's at the same time amazingly simple.
Yeah, it's amazingly simple, and it's also you're very sure that it's working, and you can audit it at any time. Like you can be like, "Hey Google," and then it doesn't respond at all, and it's like, "Yeah, it's still working."
Yeah, if you set your own key phrase to wake that thing up.
That Google doesn't know about. So it's like adversarial technology, like one piece of technology versus another piece of technology, which is exciting.
Let them fight.
Well, you know what? I moved out of my apartment recently, moved into a house, and I was cleaning everything out. I actually found my old Razor phone.
Oh, Razors were so cool. I never had one. My cousin Katie did.
You're not a sentimental person. Did you keep it or throw it away?
Oh, I threw it right away. The meth heads have it.
Did you have a gray one or did you have a pink one?
Silver.
Yeah, pink was the hot color at my
Why would I
my
get a
high
pink
school.
one? Well, the news story is it's back, or will be back.
It will be back.
Well, Circuit Breaker has Motorola's Razors returning as a $1,500 folding smartphone, and then they have a stock photo of like the ancient one.
I imagine it's going to be full screen, right? Like there's certainly not going to be a keypad on the new one.
I feel like Sony or somebody did one that was like two screens like that, but I mean...
But I think it's going to be uninterrupted screen. Like the hinge is just going to be foldable LCD, right?
That's the expectation, but I don't know.
We don't know yet. But are you willing to pay $1,500 for it?
$1,500 is
for that nostalgia?
pricey. What's the most expensive iPhone? Like 12?
Yeah, it's like $1,200, $1,300.
So you're going to go over the super flagship iPhone?
Well, no, I take that back. I think there might be an iPhone now that has like a terabyte of storage or something crazy like that. It's probably more expensive than that. Engagement challenge. We don't care.
Yeah.
Like I don't. Like I have
might
a phone.
buy this. You don't know.
I could look it up. We could literally look it up right now. And we don't care.
You've already gone to the iPad. Can you take the shame?
I'm going to a Razor.
Paying $1,500.
But the Razor though, I only want to know if I can get the pink one.
Also, you don't even have good internet.
No, I don't.
You're so cheap. There is no chance you're buying that phone.
No, I am not. I am so
But
frugal.
there is one thing that you will be doing, which is watching this movie.
I will watch this movie. Jared,
Oh.
look what you've done.
Oh,
Oh, no.
fixed.
Talking biopic with Nicholas Hoult to get summer 2019 release date. I don't watch movies in theaters. I probably will watch this one because I'm a nerd. And
Does this
This
look
is
anything
pandering.
like him?
I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of pictures of Tolkien when he was young.
I didn't care about this until I saw that Miles O'Brien is going to be in it.
I bet it'll be good. I hope it'll be good.
So he did have an interesting life because he was in World War One,
Yes.
right?
He was in the cavalry.
And he was an orphan.
Yeah. He was originally from South Africa and then moved to Britain. I wrote a paper about him
Just like Elon Musk.
when I was in middle school.
Although Elon Musk was not a poor orphan. He was a millionaire child, wasn't he?
Yeah.
All the other girls in my class wrote about Princess Diana.
Oh, yeah. That was a big paper
Yeah.
thing. That I remember we had to do a paper and you weren't allowed to choose who you got. They assigned you a random celebrity, and I got OJ.
But that was an eye-opening.
We got to pick who we did
It was
ours
pre-murder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, the government shutdown has left people with a lot of time on their hands. And perhaps a little something else.
Oh, that was a good segue, but also disgusting.
Well, the headline was Pornhub reports traffic increase amid partial government shutdown, and a 12% increase in Washington, D.C. specifically.
The
curious.
spikes that they observed that were really outliers was the noon time. So
You know about when they woke up?
yeah, you're staying up late because you don't have anywhere to go, and you wake up around 11, maybe get a little breakfast, ease into the day. Well, these are not quite tech stories, but we have a triumvirate of wonderful animal stories that will warm your heart. And first, we will start with this lovely alligator.
An emotional support alligator makes new friends at an assisted living facility.
This story did warm my heart.
He looks so happy.
He's very happy.
Look at him
You got to find the video.
the loving embrace. Oh, was it in the video?
I think it was in the video where he's hanging out with people and going down the hallway. Yeah, scroll on back.
The owner talks about petting him between the eyes and he likes to be petted and
Look!
yeah.
Look how happy.
Oh, there it is.
Oh,
there's the
yeah.
one where she's
She's burping him like a
loving him.
baby.
So this guy, this alligator was in Florida, and it was going to be killed because they were going to build a building where the alligator
lived,
family
the swamp.
was. This guy rescued it, and now he just takes it around and lets people love on it. Which is,
What could go wrong?
That's a bizarre one, but apparently it's like a little dog. It follows them around at home, and it's never bitten anyone. So
Until it tries to do a death roll with Granny's arm.
which would snap right off.
Yeah, just clean off.
Because it's mostly hollow from the calcium deficiency and just paper, skin like paper mache. So just tear it right off. It's probably the shoulder.
But they do look very happy petting the alligator.
I would try it.
I would, yeah.
I'd pet it. Now, Krista is specifically somebody who knows the terror of pets with socks.
Yes. Rue loves socks. Rue will steal socks all day, all night. She took some yesterday and tore them up, and I had to throw them away. I'm in a sock crisis at my house.
So, but you might be
Rue.
thinking to yourself, so what? Why can't Rue enjoy socks? Well, this story's why.
This zoo has issued a warning after a sea lion has puked up a toddler's sock.
There it is.
That's disgusting.
It's been inside of a sea lion. So yeah, some stupid parent. Oh, toddler parents are the worst. Just somehow the toddler lost their sock in the
Kids
sea
do that all
lion
the time.
enclosure, and the sea lion said, "Yes, I'll eat this."
And the parent wasn't even like, hey, zoo staff, by the way, there's an
Right.
extra sock in the enclosure.
It's crazy that, she didn't, you wouldn't have noticed. I mean, I don't know what the enclosure looks
Well,
like.
no, I
but-
could see a kid pulling off their own sock and, maybe just putting the shoe right back on. Although toddlers are terrible at putting on shoes. I hate
I would
watching
think-
kids try to put on shoes.
Ryan also hates, watching kids try to eat Cheerios.
Oh,
And they're like,
that is repulsive.
see, I think that's cute. But, someone should have told the zoo staff, hey, my kid dropped a sock. Assuming they noticed.
Probably just too ashamed.
Maybe
Right.
they'll redesign the enclosure if that's a common reoccurrence.
Nah, but that's like an open air animal. I mean,
But I mean, could you design it in such a way that there's if there's railing, maybe put a lip so that way if someone drops a sock, it gets caught in the lip and not.
a toddler would just throw it.
I don't know.
Oh, they're horrible little creatures.
The sea lions or the toddlers.
Speaking of offspring, one frog that was destined to never have any has a new hope.
The BBC News article brings us the story of the world's loneliest frog getting a date. This frog has been in an aquarium for 10 years plus, and they thought he was the last or one of
at
the
that
last of the
neck beard.
species. They found some more.
They kind of got the hypnotoad eyes.
What if he's do you think they told him?
Well, here's the thing.
I would tell him, I'd be you need to get yourself in shape.
Yeah, they did. They posted a video on Twitter and said, his name's Romeo.
Oh.
And they're like, let Romeo know that Juliet is coming. But here's the hilarious thing about it. Romeo's been in captivity for 10 years. He's become very docile.
He's let himself go.
So they talk about how, you can handle him and he doesn't swim around much. And even when they put the live food in there with him, he's just he doesn't really chase it. Juliet, his soon-to-be mate, is the most aggressive frog they've ever encountered. So it's going to be interesting when they put them together and see what happens.
I think we need to do a follow-up story on this.
Juliet will have murdered Romeo.
That's what I'm kind of afraid
She
of.
apparently has the highest attempted escape rate of all the frogs. So, yeah. It will
Maybe they'll mill it. Maybe it'll be like opposites attract.
That's what they're hoping for. They literally said they hope that opposites attract.
Maybe they'll spoon together.
Follow up from level 1 is that something bad has happened.
I don't think they will spoon. I think they will frog.
Well, they could spoon in our next video.
Were you literally?
I was trying to do a segment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I totally missed it.
Eat food and watch Netflix simultaneously with this fork and spoon equipped smartphone case.
It's the worst GIF ever.
This is like cursed images.
So that's the fork, I guess. Looks like she's stabbing something.
You remember the phones that had like the little built-in kickstand? Like, just set that up and put it on the
They're
desk.
like,
Yeah.
no, they're like, listen, make this look natural, and that's what she came up with.
Well, what else could she do? But also, like, the fork is perfect. It's a functional fork without the phone.
Yeah, why do you need the phone attached?
Just pick up the fork. And you can't put that in your pocket with them attached. I think it does. Now, I don't know. Like, you think those mount? It doesn't
the world's
look like
most
it.
amazeballs innovation, in quotation marks.
Amazeballs.
This page was a publicity stunt by some ad agency,
And we're giving them
and we're
publicity.
feeding it.
Well,
We've
that's
gotta
why
stop
that's why it's in the nonsense section.
We've got to just.
If you buy this, that's
Whatever ad agency did this, stop wasting your clients' money
like
and invest in proper IT and website infrastructure.
if you buy this or Kickstarter or whatever they're going to do, the moment that transaction clears after you press that button, I want you to come back to this video and press that unsubscribe button because we don't want you here. Absolutely
Leave the forum. Have your
unacceptable for you to be here.
That's your engagement challenge.
And perhaps
Disengagement, I should say.
now that person is probably too stupid to ever have gainful employment. But if they're young enough, one thing they might be able to be are blood donors.
Business Insider says this controversial startup that charges $80,000 to fill your veins with young blood to defeat aging now claims to be up and running in 5 cities across the U.S. You know what I couldn't figure out? Do they give you the full 5 pints, or is it just like 1?
No, it's like a transfusion type thing. So they take your old disgusting blood out.
Your old person.
All of
blood.
it, or just like 1 or 2 pints?
Well, the full $8,000 worth.
Well,
It's one session.
They could be 1 pint or 5. I don't know.
The other question is, how much do you get paid as a teenager? And
That's what I wanted.
you'd have to be 18 to do this, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's a business transaction.
Yeah.
So this is like, it's all barely 18 blood.
It could be like 18 to 25.
No, because it has to be teenage blood.
I think they just said, did they say?
No,
actually
you want
specific?
teenage. Well, listen, I'm not paying $8,000 for some early 20s. They've
25
already been out
year old
partying.
blood? Yeah. That's,
thank you.
No, that's got to be fresh 18-year-old blood.
Well, it's like you've never ever had a blood transfusion
And
from a teenager.
Personally, I would prefer virgin blood. I feel like that's going to be a lot more potent.
That's probably a thing in China.
No.
So, do you have the option to drink it for like 10,000? Because that's what I would do.
I'm sure you could negotiate.
Yeah. Can I just
you
get a little
fill-
bit as a sip, like a
Fill
shot?
a tub with this. Listen, Elon Musk, it's like money is no object. Just fill a whirlpool and turn those jets on high.
They are unironically calling it ambrosia.
Just like the ambrosia in RimWorld, which PGP is currently playing through on Twitch.
Twitch.tv/TeamPGP. Did you guys play that Friday?
We did.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, man.
Got some new colonists.
I've got a new marriage.
Is that Arnomia and...
I don't remember who
Seriously?
it was. To be honest with you.
I follow all the relationship drama in the colony.
I really feel like the developer of that needs to add more, like when we lose a colonist, like you should be able to build a monument or a statue or something.
I mean, you can get the nice jade sarcophagus.
Oh,
yeah,
and
but you know.
by the way, just a little tease for what you're missing if you're not watching that stream. Ty now has a bionic arm and a new kidney, or no, new lung, a new lung.
Yeah.
And was it Intrepid Techie?
I think Intrepid Techie has a bionic spine.
A new spine. He's
Did
walking.
Datalina and him fall in love?
I don't
Was it
remember.
Datalina who was falling in love? We name all of the people after people in our chat too, so that could be you.
We were mostly focused on repairing their horrible deformities. Well, one thing that we've seen that even government employees love is porn. And I don't think that this new proposal is going to catch on because of that.
This lawmaker wants to tax porn users to help fund the border wall. Yeah, this is not. It's like, I mean, that's not even.
That's a great stock.
That's a
photo.
telephone line. Who uses
But-
a telephone
Yeah, I was going
line?
to say that's the. But it, you know, they were like, go find me one that's like extra phallic. It's girthy. We need a girthy cable.
That's a word that's hard to use. And not have certain connotations.
So yeah, this person wants every device that can access porn, which is everything with a screen that's been manufactured in the last 10 years, to be restricted from porn somehow at the hardware level.
What an idiot.
And you have to pay $20 to unlock the ability to get porn.
And
with
if
that
you're
device.
thinking like,
Per device.
what is this guy's credentials? He doesn't even have a blue check on Facebook.
Can't trust him at all.
Can't trust him.
In
But
fact,
he's a GOP lawmaker, so there you go.
and so I don't know if it's this guy necessarily or someone he's related to that's working with
Yeah,
this.
they have a
but,
long list of things he's done on this article.
He has been addicted to porn and tried to sue Apple because they enabled him to be addicted to porn. He tried to marry his laptop.
And
We actually have the article
he
on that.
sued Utah
Yeah.
because they wouldn't recognize his marriage.
The link to that is insane.
I think we covered that the first time around.
Like if you follow the links in this article, it's just,
It's a rabbit trail of insanity.
yeah, I mean, you just go farther and farther down the rabbit hole of insanity, and you come up later, and it's just like, no amount of showering is going to wash the filthiness off of me, because this is like one man's insanity manifest in law. And it's like, do people not know this? Perhaps they
Do
should
we
know
want
this
this to be in the records of our
And
civilization?
This is so often the case with lawmakers and the projection.
Yeah.
Because all of those like anti-gay lawmakers, all of them ended up in hotel rooms with male prostitutes. It was like a joke how that always happened. And it's like, bro, not everybody is fighting it like you are. You know, just let people live their lives. And it's like, no, there's something wrong with me. I've tried to marry my laptop. You've got to stop me. But you know he'd pay the $20 eventually.
Yeah.
He'd probably be the first
Yeah.
guy to pay the $20.
He needs therapy, not laws.
Well, hey, speaking of Team PGP on Twitch, from time to time we've played Stellaris,
Stellaris is an amazing game.
but we never used this incredible mod.
Play Stellaris as the most evil alien race imaginable, HP printers.
I love the eyes.
Yeah. And it's like the display is his angry little mouth.
Yeah.
As I recall, I reviewed that exact model of printer.
So here he is. Here they are. Now so you can play as robots in one of the more recent DLC updates to Stellaris, and this is a mod that creates a robot race of HP printers. In this storyline, they have destroyed the Earth with a nuclear war.
As they would.
It's become a dead planet, and they must branch out into the galaxy and spread war. They are a warlike race. They have a lot of plus damage and like quick fleet building, but they have one huge drawback as well.
Minus 25% leader experience because they've been repurposed.
No, it's
That was
the
manufacturing.
maintenance.
Oh, yeah, and really
Yeah.
insanely high maintenance.
Increased maintenance because they're not built to last.
It's crazy.
Because they're HP printers.
Someone's here.
Someone's in the hallway making noise.
That's it for
That
us.
was the last story, though, so it's perfect timing.